exactly right. Yeah, about what, 20 years?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's about right.
Good morning. It is 10:01 a.m. on Friday, February 13th, 2026. Call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. If everyone would please stand, Commissioner Beecham will give our invocation.
Pray with me, please. Good, gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you this morning as a humble people, Lord, in need of your guidance. Lord, as we celebrate tomorrow, all things love, Lord, just help us to be mindful that you are the ultimate source of love, Lord. You've loved us so much that you gave us the most precious gift you had, your Son, to die for us, that we can have eternal life if we look to him, Lord. Lord, help us to be mindful of that. Help us to be mindful of our duties, Lord. Help us to do the very best that we can for the county, Lord, always looking to you for guidance. Lord, I pray you be with our first responders and, Lord, our military, and Lord, just guide them and protect them, and Lord, just keep them safe always, Lord. Be with us as we conduct the business of the counties. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please join us for the pledge to the U.S. flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the pledge to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, everyone may be seated. Thank you. There is listed on the agenda a presentation of Employee of the Month award. That will be pushed to another date, which means we open up public comments at 10:03 a.m. Remind everybody that comments have to be limited to 5 minutes or less, and Commissioners Court cannot take action on any item brought up during public comments. Do we have any public comments? I think we do. Our elections administrator.
I have 4 topics. Do I get 20 minutes?
Come on up. You get 5 minutes, but questions maybe
Okay.
extends that time.
Reminder, early voting does not start on Monday. It is a holiday. It will start on Tuesday. We've been getting questions about that. Another reminder, you do not have to have a new voter registration card to vote. We have lots of calls that people think they are not going to be eligible to vote in the primary because they have not got a new voter registration card. Reminder, that is not a requirement. Third thing that I need to
They
discuss.
do need to bring their driver's license, though.
They do need to bring a photo ID, but they don't have to have a valid, non-expired voter registration card. Third thing we're getting questions on is the tax office in Burke does not affect voting. There is not, the tearing down of the building up front does not affect the voting that occurs always in the back building. So all the voting is in the same place in Burke for early voting election day that it's always been. So that does not affect anything there. Fourth thing, both parties, Republican and Democrat, have sent out mail ballot applications to anyone that they found in their system, whatever that system is, that is 65 and over. They're addressed to come to our office, but we did not send these out. So if you are not happy that you got one, that is not us. If you wished you had got one, that is not us. You can contact us if you are eligible for a mail ballot. We will send you an application. However, the mass mail out did not come from our office. So I just need people to understand that. So
I may ask Greg, I may ask you to work with Robin. There's enough there, probably worth posting and sending out a press release just to make sure we get the word out. Because there are 3 things there that on their own are probably big enough they're going to affect a number of people, and I think having all that information out there is a good idea.
Okay.
I know you probably will put it on the website, but there's a lot of folks who don't know.
we've had the voter registration on our website, but that is the bulk of our calls is voter registration cards. Say we've had some about the Burke Annex and the ballot by mail applications. That's been the top 3 things that we've had.
Well, I'm glad you told us, Robin, last week about that voter registration because I've received calls on that.
Numerous.
Yeah.
I'm glad you told us.
Could you
Yeah.
elaborate more into why that is? I know we've had a lot of questions.
For the voter
been all over-
registration
yeah,
cards,
and
why
it's
we
not just
cannot?
Wichita County.
Well, initially, the state is the one, the team system is the state voter registration system, which is what 60% of the counties use.
Okay.
It's 40% of the voters. 60% of the voters are in 40% of the large counties. They have their own voter registration system. Those counties can issue voter registration cards because they purchase their own system. If you use the team state system, they have been unable to produce the reports for mass mail out. Part of it is because of Votech, which was a vendor, went under. Secondly, this late redistricting that we had for congressional districts, which didn't affect us, however, it affected the state voter registration system. So therefore, they have been, you gotta think, some of these counties too had runoffs in January. Some of the larger counties, so those that were affected by redistricting couldn't be done until after their elections. So accumulation of all of that has put a halt on the state being able to produce the reports for voter registration. I cannot produce the report
Right.
on my own, so I cannot issue, at this point, honestly, I can't even print you a voter registration card. So, because we do use the state system. So until the state can provide me the report, I know we're in the queue, that's all I'm being told. I know some counties have received theirs, we just have not at this point, and I know the bulk of the counties probably have not, so.
For the
Thank you.
voter, show up with your ID,
Right.
and
Yes.
you'll be able to.
Yes, and they can check on votetexas.gov, it says, am I registered? They can look themselves up. They can call our office, which they have been doing. They will be in the poll pad. They're not a terminated, canceled voter. It's just, I cannot produce you a physical card at this point. That doesn't say expires 12/31, so.
Robin, if you did receive a mail-in ballot, do you have to do anything with it?
If you receive the application for a mail ballot,
Well, I was thinking, do you say the party sent
the party sent applications.
applications?
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I was
Applications
thinking
for mail
that-
ballot.
Because in the past,
If they-
if you had a mail-in, you had to surrender it to vote. So
Yes, if
that's
you got
what
a
I'm
mail
asking.
ballot, yes,
Yeah.
but if you got an application for a mail ballot from the parties and you choose not to participate in mail ballot, then just throw it away. I don't need it for
That's
anything.
why I have a question.
Yeah.
for
The
you.
other thing is, I hope people understand that, when the parties send out the applications, they are sending you an annual application. So you're signing up for every election for this year. What we typically see is they think they're getting this election, and then if they are eligible in the May election,
Yeah.
we're gonna send them one.
So if you
This
apply for one,
application,
You gotta carry it through.
yes,
Yeah.
this is an annual application, unless you choose to cancel it in writing, you're gonna get every mail ballot for the remainder of the year, because that's how they set up their applications.
Very
Yes.
good.
Did you have a question?
If you receive a mail ballot application,
Mm-hmm.
and this is only 65 and older, right, from the Republican Party?
And the Democratic
In the-
Party,
In the Democratic
yes,
Party.
both parties.
But if you receive that and you fill out that application, send it in just because you think you're doing the right thing,
Mhm.
and then you come to vote, can you vote?
You can, depending on the situation,
That's where the problem is, and people need to, that's why I want you
Yes.
to publicly put that answer.
depending on the situation. So if we receive your application, we are gonna process it and we are gonna mail you a ballot. Our system, when you go vote, is gonna show that you were mailed a ballot. So unless you are surrendering that ballot at the location, you will vote provisionally. Because I have to ensure that you also are not gonna send a mail ballot back in. So if you are not surrendering it at the polling location and saying, here's the mail ballot I received, I would like to vote in person, you will vote provisionally. Because we have to track that. So that is,
But
and
you
it's,
can bring it to your polling location and surrender it there.
you can, and then
Okay.
you will vote regular.
You don't have to come down
You
to
do
your
not.
office and
Now,
do
what
that.
you cannot do is vote by mail and drop it off at a polling location. That is not what you're doing.
Okay.
You are surrendering it and voting in person. But you cannot take a mail ballot and drop it off in person at any polling location.
Okay.
You can only drop off a filled out mail ballot on election day, and it has to be dropped off by the voter, because we have to see your ID. Can't drop it off during early voting. That's the point of a mail ballot, is it needs to be mailed back in. If you got it late and you don't think you can mail it back in, your only option is to drop it off in person in our office on election day.
Okay.
One other question. Over a normal mail-in application request that you received by the Democrat and the Republican Party doing this mass mail-out, how much more business is it recurring to the county, costing us money?
Substantial. It has been crazy.
Best of my memory, those applications to mail them all out is probably costing the county $3 to $4.
Well, we don't mail out the applications, we were mailing out
The
the mail
ballots.
ballots. But the amount of, just the postage alone is $1.07 per envelope for everyone that we're mailing out. That's not including the kit, that's not including the ballot, that's not including our time to load them. With the state's current voter registration system, we are manually making every mailing label because I can't print them.
The reason I bring that up,
It
the
has
reason
been
I'm
a-
asking you publicly is because I've discussed with the judge, I don't think the Republican Party and the Democratic Party is really doing any favors to the counties that they represent throughout the state by putting this burden on the state, on the counties, to do all this extra postage, extra mailing. Every application you send out is a packet, which takes several dollars to put together.
Yeah.
And then every time you get it back in, you have to do another packet to send out a ballot, which costs several dollars to put together and mail out. So how many do you think you've done so far?
How many mail ballots?
Yes.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I imported 382 yesterday, and I don't know what was currently in there prior to that. And we have a stack. I think Tuesday is going to be a huge stack. I think Wednesday is going to be a huge stack with Monday being a holiday. The 20th is the deadline. They have to be in our office by the 20th. So I do expect next week to be fairly heavy on applications. Maybe we've got.
There's nothing else going on next week, right?
Yeah, nothing else going on next
With
week.
an
And
election count, that's
maybe
all I
we
have
have the
anything to
bulk
do,
of them
yeah.
in, I don't know, but it has been a lot that
But
has come in.
And the point I'm trying to make here is you're probably talking total by them doing this is costing the county, I would say $6 to $10 per ballot.
I'm curious how many of them come back, and they may come back, that's fine, but that's why I was saying, you realize you're signing up for an application for every election for this year.
And that
If you
means
do an annual.
every election, we gotta send these all out again.
$6 to $10.
Yeah,
Every
It's
time.
a
Yeah, which
crazy
is-
amount of
which
money
is-
that's costing the county.
what happened with the city election, the runoff they had in December, it was a presidential year. The amount of money they spent on on mail ballots, that the majority were not returned because people had signed up for annual and a presidential, and they really didn't want the runoff for the city of Wichita Falls. So,
I just
but you gotta send
bring
it.
that up to share with
Yeah.
y'all.
It's
so-
just a monetary,
But
it is a monetary
percentage-
expense.
The percentage of mail-in ballots in any election in Wichita County right now is what of the whole?
Minimal, but I'm telling you, I'm amazed at how many applications we have received, honestly. And I have not worked here with the Republican Party ever sending them out. The Democratic Party has sent them out consistently. This is the first year that I have seen the Republican Party, that I've been here, send out these postcards for the annual applications, and
So
it's
if
been
you
a lot.
don't really need it, don't do it, is the deal. And there are people that it really
I'm not gonna
fits.
say that, but you can
Yeah,
say
you
that.
can say that, But, yeah, there are people, it's really a good service and they really need it.
Yes.
And that's fine, that's what it's for,
Yes.
but just to wholesalely do it is not a good idea.
Yeah, but they mass send it out to anyone that is over
Yeah.
65. And the problems we have, and I see people's point is, you know, my husband may be over 65 and he got the application, I have disability, why don't I get one? Well, because I don't know that you're disabled. And the state of Texas, or the Republican Party doesn't know you're disabled, or the Democratic Party doesn't know that. They can only go by age. That's why they're only sending it out to anyone over the age of 65. So,
Okay.
it's just
Thank-
a lot.
Thank you for the update.
Mhm.
I do think it's we'll get
Okay.
with you and get some information out on it.
Okay. sounds good.
Always a wealth of knowledge, so thank
Yep.
you.
Thanks, Robin.
Might as well piggyback that, since we're gonna have communication going out, just to notify, y'all were notified, the rest of the county here was notified that we have entered the 21st century, and we now can
A
be
MySpace
followed.
page.
Yes, MySpace. What is MySpace? I'm not old enough to understand that. No, but we can be followed now on Facebook, so Wichita County, TX, and it's gonna be the same handle for Instagram, but it's at Wichita County TX. Over the course of the future, we will be linking our Facebook presence throughout the various departments and whatnot. but we will start pushing out. We have our first post that already went out yesterday, being just a reminder that we will closed on Monday, and so more to come. But with that said, I'll get with Robin and we'll get some information put together, and we'll put out a press release as well as get it out on social media and try to get ahead of and limit the communications that's coming in.
How do I find our Facebook page?
It's a great question. You should just go and be able to search Wichita County, TX. I have been told that it's not that easy right now, and I don't know if that's just because of the amount of followers and viewers that we have. I found it quickly. I think Morgan had found it quickly. It's our county seal that's up, and hopefully as we start linking, if you're on the sheriff's department or EMO, elections, things of that nature, BSO, they'll start to populate, and so you'll be able to see it. But that's how I found it. That's how you should find it. Why it doesn't come up, why not it doesn't come up, pardon the English, I don't know.
So all these other departments that have existing Facebook pages, are they automatically gonna link, or are they gonna have to do, like, put an whatever Wichita County tag?
There's a way that we can just share web addresses and then references as to who to follow, right? So you can go to friends and click like, oh, who's following who, and you can see that the county as a whole is there, and you can click on that and follow. Question you didn't ask, but one that I'll speak to is that Meta has a business platform, right? And so we will get behind the scenes and link them all together.
Okay.
Not that it's going to change who the admins are for each page and who runs each page. It's not like that at all, but it's just in case passwords are lost, or for future administration down the road, easy access to those pages, so we can make sure that each entity still has the ability to communicate with the public in transition and whatnot.
I would just like to thank Greg for the work on this, because it's not as simple as an individual Facebook and Instagram profile getting up and running, a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And also acknowledge that I do appreciate the irony that I was the county judge when Wichita County added a social media presence. The guy who doesn't have one and who hates it. So thank you for the work on that and being willing to take it on.
Antisocial.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Do we have any other public comment this morning?
I will say, once again, just, Robin mentioned it, the annex in Burke is closed down, the tag office closed down, the JP office is moved. We're still getting lots of people pulling up there, wanting to go in. There's no signage up, and there's no reason really for us to spend money on the signage. We're gonna start disassembling the outside of that building today, so it's not it'll be prevalent pretty quick what we're doing. So also, it does not affect the voting at all. The voting always occurs at the precinct barn right behind the tag office. That'll continue. The parking will be the same as it has been in the past. There'll be no limited parking. We have plenty of parking for anybody that wants to come vote. And that's it.
Okay. I'll just remind folks, we do not have Commissioners Court on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. So now that once we get past today and past Tuesday, we'll be back on our normal schedule for a while, but no Commissioners Court this coming Tuesday. All right, do we have any other public comments this morning? Okay, it is 10:19 and public comment is closed. Let's move on to the consent agenda. There are 7 items on the consent agenda this morning. Going to make a couple of edits here. First, on item number 3, which is a motion to authorize the county judge's signature on Vertisoft contract for an ACFR-based solution and approve quote number Q18356 in the amount of $59,943. Need to add the language for where that's going to be paid from and to be paid out of 409. And then on item number 5, going to ask that we pull that off of the agenda completely today. And that's the motion to approve payment of up to $1,500.10 for costs incurred in hosting court night for the 97th Annual West Texas County Judges Commissioners Association Conference. Okay, yeah, those are the 2 edits. Are there any objections, Commissioners, to making those 2 changes to the consent agenda?
Judge, I had a question about 4.
Okay.
What was the change?
The original invoice was unclear as to what the final cost was. We had missed some applicable fees. I think the original one was 52,400-ish. And the actual, and it was on that original invoice, but the actual amount was $53,007.13. We just put the wrong number.
And there's no equipment upcharge also on top of this amount of money?
That will be a separate,
Item?
upfit.
Okay.
And I'll remind everyone, we allocated $65K for this purchase in the budget, so that will be the budget to work with on an
Okay.
upfit.
And that bill is coming to the court on the next agenda. Constable already has
Okay.
it.
Motion to approve with the noted changes.
Second.
All right, we have got a motion by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Fincannon, to approve the consent agenda with amendments. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion or the items? All right, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. All right, general business, item number 1. I will note that it is 10:22 a.m. and we will start the public hearing to discuss, consider, and/or take action on the amount of mandatory payments that the Wichita County Commissioners Court intends to require from local hospitals in fiscal year 2026. This is something we do annually, and I will invite first Bob Pert from United Regional Healthcare System to come forward and address the court. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Judge Johnson and members of the court. My name is Bob Pert, Chief Financial Officer, United Regional. Been my honor and privilege to serve the organization for the last 20 years. First, I want to thank everybody for your continued support of the program. The program's been going on for the last 8 years, along with the support from the Auditor's and Treasurer's Office. We appreciate that very much. As I stated, 8 years, but we'll give you a brief, if you'd like, a little brief history of what we've done in the past and where we're going. Basically, this began in 2019, passed by our state legislatures, almost unanimous support. Appreciate Dr. James Frank's support associated with making that happen also. Why does the LPPF program exist? It's basically a program that allows organizations like ours to access federal dollars. It's basically a matching program. So basically the program works where a hospital like ours in our local hospitals send dollars, these tax dollars, to the state, which are then matched by the federal government. Those dollars are then coming down to us so that we can help cover the upwards of $50 million of uninsured and shortfalls that Medicaid has as it relates to the cost to provide service. As you know, we're a safety net hospital. We cover basically that safety net hospital with our acute services for a 9-county area. So these are dollars that are critical for our long-term viability. Overall, the program has been working fine. We've had conversations with each of the other local hospitals to which this tax will be applied, and we're all in favor of continuing the program. The ask today is from the county to set the payment rate at 6% this year, which will be able to fully pull down those matching dollars from the federal government back down to our local community. And I said earlier, obviously this is through all of Texas. All the counties of Texas have access to these dollars, to which is a great assistance to the delivery of quality health care for our communities and across Texas. Open to questions or comments that you guys might have.
So I ask every year, this is that's pretty much a self-imposed tax that we collect on your behalf. It's sent in and y'all receive additional funding on top of the tax money that was collected. The county gets a very small fee, what, $20,000, is that correct? For administrative, so it's not the county imposing the tax, it's your ask that we tax the hospitals in order to receive the additional federal funding.
And it's part of the methodology that's been decided by the Texas legislature to pull these dollars down.
It seems very counterintuitive, but that's the system that we have to work within.
Right. Other states use different methodologies where state general revenue is utilized. That's not the process that we have.
Right. So we're just going through the procedural,
Yes,
and the county did not ask that this be imposed. The hospitals came to the county
Absolutely.
and asked that this
Yes.
quote-unquote tax
Right.
be imposed.
In order to pull the funds down for our community.
And go ahead.
Well, does it affect, Bob? I walk in there and have a procedure done at United Regional.
Right.
Is that tax on my bill to an extent?
Not in any form or fashion.
Okay.
And I'll add a couple things, and Bob, tell me if I misspeak on either of these. And the way that this is done, it's a matching program, but it's roughly about for every 40 cents that the tax imposes, we pull down $1 of federal funding, which is why, from y'all's perspective, there's no tax on the patient to help pay for this, because they are pulling down much more than the tax is going out
Right.
to help pay for the same, the programs that they're serving.
In theory, without these funds for all of Texas, not just United Regional and Wichita Falls, without these funds, other fundings would have to come from higher charges to the commercial market as opposed to being more reliant on these funds. So this is a benefit for our community and the state of Texas and how healthcare is funded. I mean, it's just a methodology of how healthcare is being funded.
And Bob, the request this year is we amended last year because of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. We put it at the cap, which is 6%, and that's what you're asking for again this year, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that administrative fees are still good to cover the efforts.
Yeah. We have a consultant, Matt Gilbert, that helps us with a lot. And yeah, the 20,000 we get is plenty sufficient, and we're currently going through a single audit for the first time, and so we'll see how
That'll be interesting.
intensive that is. With that.
But that's the nature of the beast. I mean, that's what happens, so.
Commissioners, do you have
Good.
any other questions of Mr. Kirk?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, but Bob, introduce your.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
guest. Yeah.
I'd like to introduce our Director of Counting, Trey Twilliger. Always good to have younger blood, where
Absolutely.
older blood is getting up there in age. So make sure this process is well ingrained in our organization so that this process that's been very beneficial to our community and to our ability to care for people in our community continues for a very long time.
So you're saying the hospital does blood transfusions then?
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
It's always good to introduce the young blood coming up. That's an important part. Bob warned me a couple of weeks ago he was coming because we were at the awards deal. And by the way, that was a nice ceremony to honor their long-term employees. So that was a nice evening. So
We very much appreciate the long-term service of your wife.
yeah, she got her 35-year pin, so she's been there a while. So,
That's
yeah.
very impressive. So we are very appreciative to her service
Yeah.
and the service. We actually had one employee had a 51 year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's
So,
incredible.
Wow.
There was a lot of talent in that room that night, I'm telling you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We're blessed to
Makes our
have-
community better, and that's a good thing.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you. All right, so this is a public hearing. I'll ask if there's any member of the public who wishes to speak on, for, or against taking action on the mandatory payments. All right. I will note that it is 10:30, and we will close the public hearing. Brings us to item number 2. Discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve the resolution setting the fiscal year 2026 mandatory payment rate for the Wichita County Healthcare Provider Participation Program. And I'll add some language to request for the motion and authorize the county judge to sign said resolution.
So move.
Second.
Did you get that, Morgan? Okay. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mahler, seconded by Commissioner Beecham, to approve the resolution setting the fiscal year 2026 mandatory payment rate for the Wichita County Healthcare Provider Participation Program and authorize the county judge to sign the resolution. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion or the item? All right, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. All right, item number 3, review and approve regular bills for payment, verify payroll taxes have been filed, and authorize county treasurer to disperse payroll and or bills within 72 hours via U.S. mail, FedEx, UPS, electronically, or be picked up and acknowledged by a ledger signature in the treasurer's office. Commissioners, y'all should have received those from Margaret yesterday mid-afternoon. Thanks for the quick turnaround. I know that's a little bit of a accelerated pace, so thank you. Are there any questions on the item?
I move we pay our bills.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Fincannon to approve bills for payment, verify payroll taxes have been filed, and authorize county treasurer to disperse payroll and or bills. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion or the item? No. All right, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 4, receive the January 2026 Treasury Report from Wichita County Treasurer Stephen Jones. Good morning, Mr. Jones.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so January is very, very busy as far as all the paperwork and everything going in, but pretty on track as far as what we expect to see with our cash. The major changes all came to general fund, which is what we were hoping and expecting, because that meant that a lot more of the tax money's been coming in. Over general fund, just in American National, the balances went up, and then came back down because we moved into polls and better long-term opportunities. So American National looks like it normally does. The tax pool account, you can see we've added from 9 million up to 15 million in general fund, and from almost 600,000 up to 1.5 million in the debt service fund. Similar things happened in Texas class, where we went up. At January 31, we had roughly $30 million to pay in our pools for general fund, and about $3 million in debt service. So big jump up for those funds over January, and actually even bigger for February so far. Today's the 13th. And our current one total for Gen, as I looked at it a minute ago, 48,932,000. So it's already gone up almost 19 million in almost 19 million in the general fund. So we are looking really, really solid for being able to pay our bills, which is always a happy thought. And the next one, the total cash balance per month, I added into the 2026 now that we have some data for it, and you can barely see it. It's actually right at the exact same spot as the beginning of the red line, which is 2023. So we've got almost the exact same amount we had in January 2023, which puts us again right on the sine curve we are gotten used to ever since the COVID data got out of there.
So we're actually higher than the previous 2 years, even that.
By a little
That
bit.
even had ARPA funds
That
included
more,
in that?
significantly more
Mhm.
ARPA funds.
Yeah. We've
So
moved
we're
down
actually,
several million.
It
our
about 10 or
collections,
15 million.
Yeah, in ARPA.
Yeah.
our collections are that good right now?
I think the collections are gonna start to taper off down to zero after now. But yeah, the collections we did in the last half of January, first half of February so far have been really great for keeping us on track.
What was going on in 24 that left that cash balance significantly lower into?
That was the year that the letters went out late because they were changing the
Okay.
law.
Yeah.
Because it catches up when you,
Yeah.
when you move, go on down the road. It was just, anytime there's any that kind of variation, I always wonder what was going
Yeah,
on.
had to think about that when I first reported too,
Yeah.
but that was the year that the letters had to go out late because of new statutes or
Oh,
new
right,
regulations
yeah.
on it.
Yeah,
So we didn't start receiving it until the end of December, and then January shot way up.
which is why the January, February numbers.
Are
go
right on
back
track.
to- Yeah, normal.
Yeah.
That's
Finished the
interesting.
year really strong last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or started the new one way or the other, but yeah. So it's nice to see things working as they're supposed to work for a change, so. Hope I didn't just jinx that. But just in January, as it went back up, our total interest is up at $206,000 for the year so far, just on our liquid cash. So moving forward, we're doing pretty good. And as of today, write this one down, our long-term debt is finally switched over to what we owe for this year. The total amount we're gonna pay out on those two big payments, $3.8 million, is gonna go out next month and then again in September. We currently have $4.1 million, most of which is in the pools to pay that down. So we fully cover all the payments that are due for this year for our long-term debt. So it looks like we're gonna be solvent this year.
Just like every other one.
Yeah.
Always good news.
As a citizen, I can count on that happening, and I know that it's gonna happen. But as an accountant, I'm always terrified until the money actually shows up. But it looks
Yes.
like it's showing up.
And I understand this is just an opinion question. There was some effort that's been talked about to see this interest rate continue to go down to try to get the economy going. Are you hearing anything that indicates where we might be or where we need to be, or? I
For
mean, you talk to people, what are the,
As far as the Fed rate,
yeah,
I think we were all surprised nothing happened the last time.
yeah.
I think we're all gonna be surprised at whatever they decide to do.
With the new
I
Fed
think
chairman
I think so.
coming in, all bets are off.
Yeah, exactly, and I think for a while, I think we're working on a magic 8-ball kind of solution, where whatever
Well,
somebody
it's,
whispers into somebody else's ear seems to be what's happening at the moment at the Fed level, so.
Yeah.
As trends are going and stuff, it seems like it is likely to continue to go down. At what rate it goes down, I don't
Yeah.
think anybody can guess at this point.
It's a big deal to us, though, because it
It is.
really affects our income, and we watch it pretty closely, so.
Yeah,
Well, we have a very narrow areas in which we can invest, so
Yeah.
it really affects us a lot more than those that can invest on the private markets.
yeah, we can't.
Well, it was
I'm
amazing.
glad we didn't have any money in Bitcoin this past week. Good Lord.
You know, that period there with the extremely low interest rate, I mean, it was costing us, what, $1 million a year or more? And that's a big deal, so,
Yeah, it's just
something to watch.
Oh,
It
for sure,
does-
yeah. And
Does affect us.
roughly $6.5 million we made the last 2 years on interest is gonna help us get through some of the dry times that are eventually gonna come, because everything cycles, but.
It's a bit of a preview to budget season because the fact that we're at the same general fund, if not a little more, I know ARPA is separate, but we're gonna have that same discussion we have every year of, are we at the right level of fund balance, or is it time to spend some of that down so we don't have to raise taxes? But that'll be a discussion we have here in about 5 or 6 months, so. It's a good place to be and it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, and for fund balance, that does include all of our long-term investments, and with the fact that we're finally burning through some of our, decade-long agency bonds that we've been trying to deal with. Not decade, but the one was 7 years for $4 million, so it felt like a decade, but we're gonna have that money to actually use actively, as opposed to just sitting there waiting for it, so.
Right.
Well, we've got one more shot at a budget season under kind of the current rules. And there's every indication that we may be dealing with a different, complete different setup, after the next legislative session. There's a lot of talk about that, so it's something to kind of at least keep in the back of our minds as we move forward. Because some of the things you do now kind of sets the foundation for what the way it may be interpreted later, and I think we need to be fully aware of that.
And we also have the interest that we've earned off of ARPA that's sitting in a piggy bank that we're not using until everything is done, so that'll become available next year.
It's about
Hopefully,
2.4 million right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't change the rules on that. But,
Yeah.
That's why we're holding on to it, so we don't have to, if they
Yeah.
call it back, we'll have it, so.
yeah, exactly, that was the right thing to do, and whenever that was decided, was not spend it now because they may take it away, so.
Yeah.
If they do, the county itself is not gonna be out any money.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Jones?
Good report.
Thanks, sir. Is this the one we signed?
Yes.
Okay. Good, just leave it with Morgan, we'll get that signed for you.
Get that.
All right. There's no action to be taken on that item. Item number 5, discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve addition of the following to the County Personnel Policy Manual, County Closures 4.09.6, for any essential staff excluding law enforcement and detention services that are required to work during a county closure. An employee will receive administrative time of the full day, and any hours worked over 40 hours during that pay period will be reflected as straight time pay. Commissioner Beecham, I believe this is your item.
Yes, Judge. Over this previous winter storm situation, we had a significant number of our road and bridge hands, and as well as all of our maintenance staff worked tirelessly to make sure that we were able to open our buildings, even when we didn't open the next day. They were here over a 3-day period, making sure that our buildings were in good shape and ready to open. Yeah, we pay them the straight time for it like everyone else got during the closure, but these men and women were out in the elements, going above and beyond, in my view, to make sure that we were all able to come and do our jobs. So I would like to see them receive some kind of compensation, whether it be in time off, or pay going forward. So however we decide to do that, I'm all ears at this point. For one, I'd like to see us do a comp time bank, which we've discussed several times in the past in the court. A comp time bank would allow us to address this going forward, that they would automatically get comp time when they come in and work these extra hours. It would also be a very valuable tool when we're doing projects after hours. I know Ricky's got a project coming up where we're gonna have to do it on probably a Saturday and Sunday, rather than sending the maintenance staff home during that same pay period for a couple of days, which we desperately need them here when the building's open. It'd be nice to have a comp time bank that they could take at their leisure, like they would vacation time. So that would be one way that we could address this, by approving a comp time bank for our maintenance and road and bridge staff. Yeah, I know we've talked about it in road and bridge before several times, that would be very helpful, particularly in chip seal season, when we're having to work till 9, 10, 11 at night sometimes in order to get the product down. Trying to send somebody off during that same pay week is very difficult, to shut down the whole operation. So it'd be very helpful in our case.
Okay. I guess I'll start with a couple of things. First one is, I think we did it from the dais a couple of times. I know emails were sent out, just to acknowledge and thank,
Yeah.
the road and bridge folks and the maintenance staff for their work, their work, to make sure that the building could be opened, to the public when it was time to do so. And so I just want to upfront, once again, acknowledge the appreciation for the work done on that. I think we've got two different discussions there. I agree completely that we need to have a conversation about comp time and a comp time bank as a solution to potential overtime, which is, I think, largely what you're talking about there during
Right.
chip seal season. And I haven't asked this yet, but I was gonna ask Morgan to put that on our Friday work session in March, to have that discussion and really
Okay.
flesh that out. Because I think it's a discussion we need to have, and I think it's a good one to have. My challenge and, quite frankly, opposition to doing something like this for this specific instance comes down to a couple of things. The first one is I have a hard time figuring out what the limiting principle is on doing something like this, where we've got county employees as a whole were all paid for time while the county facilities were closed. And even those folks who did come in and who worked hard. I mean, I went out there and saw the chipping that went on to get through the ice blocks to try to get sidewalks clear. Did a great job getting the parking lot, especially by the juvenile detention facility, done. We still have a situation where folks were paid for 40 hours of work that didn't hit that 40-hour threshold. And I don't really know how we, as a policy matter, make the delineation between that work and the auditor's office staff who worked from home and still got the stuff done. How we make that delineation between that work and Morgan and having to work from home and take my phone calls. And I don't really know how we delineate there. And so I think
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree.
and we end up in a situation where the jail had to remain open during the event, and it's sort of built into the job description. So I have a hard time figuring out how we thread that needle in a way that makes sense for taxpayers and staff. The second thing is, doing something like this is going to end up in a situation where we're essentially spending unbudgeted funds, because it's not overtime, it's a different thing, for hours that aren't worked even up to 40. And so I completely understand the desire to recognize the work that was done, because there were folks who were up here working hard out in the elements when other people were at home. I understand that. I just think that they're addressing that and trying to recognize that through this type of policy, I think is going to create, quite frankly, an untenable position for us moving forward, because I don't see how we make decisions on who is essential, who is not. I hate that word, by the way. I just don't see how we move forward with this type of policy.
I put it on because I thought it was worthy of discussion.
Yeah, no, I know, and that's what we're doing. Commissioners, other thoughts?
Well, the comp time deal, little history. We had to clean that up. Matt, you were here.
I was here.
And it was very difficult, it was very expensive, but we had to do it because it was catching us when we could least stand it. And what it amounted to, you had these large comp time banks, and somebody would retire, and the law would make us, pay that. And so you gotta deal with that, and that's the reason that was changed. Yeah, I'm like you, this would take quite a little bit of work, though, to try to find that sweet spot to where you could let it do what the intention is without creating more problems than you've already got. This would take some, it's not something I think we can do right here this morning. And I, yeah, we probably need to discuss it and look at it, but I don't know what the answer is. I really don't.
As for comp time banks, coming over from the city, we had comp time bank. It was capped. And it was capped at 16 hours for employees. They could receive up to 16 hours. It carried with them. It didn't end at the end of the year. It carried with them until they used it. So I don't look at us doing an endless comp time bank, but some bank with the cap on it, whether it's 16 hours, 24, 40, I don't know. That's a bigger discussion. But that way we have control over it. It doesn't get to where it's an accounting nightmare. Our new time clock should be able to handle this real easily, adding that comp time bank in for the essential staff, the maintenance, road and bridge that are occasionally required to work after hours, particularly on bigger projects.
Question. Are you saying you're wanting to make a comp time bank only for certain employees of the county? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I am.
That'd be a little tricky, I think. I think that'd be, there again, I like Barry, lots of discussion needed on
Yeah.
this, not something to
We got, wouldn't that be governed by labor laws? And you'd
Yeah.
have restrictions that were on it if you were to do that. But that's why we had to get that thing straightened out. If I remember right, it was about $1 million deal, time we got it
That's
cleaned
also
up.
more than that.
Was it
About
more than
3
that?
million.
But that's
I
because if
remember.
you don't use it, then you get to carry it over.
Yeah,
I got like $4,000 a year.
yeah.
Because if you don't use it, then you get paid at your higher, you get paid 2 years later, you get paid at a higher rate basically than you did when you earned your.
And see, then if you.
Then you're way out of balance with
See,
your budget.
Yeah, if you were in the system for 40 hours, which we would have been, everything, all that comp time would be time and a half or, whatever the law says. I guess that's what it says.
Well, and that's why, again, I think we've
Yeah,
got
it's-
two tracks here, which is the one in front of us, which is this particular incident where we've got the proposal for payment that's not overtime, and then we've got the comp time discussion. Because, yeah, that's one that's going to involve probably a lot of homework and research ahead of time from various folks on what are the ramifications. Can we limit it to a certain amount of hours capped, and it's got to be spent that year or else? I think there's a lot of legal things that need to come in play that we'll have to ask people to look into. And I think that's sort of a separate discussion from this one. But
I knew there was questions. I'll put it on for discussion, so
yeah,
you can't discuss it until you put it on an agenda.
that is the,
So is that a discussion only topic?
I mean, we can take action on it if we come to a conclusion.
I don't see a conclusion today, but that's your call to, if you want to try to take any action.
Well, too many unanswered questions right now. I mean, we gotta check into what's legal and, what we don't wanna get back where we were. That's part of the deal, and I'm not saying we're going to. But we also wanna take care of our people. There's no doubt about that.
yeah, I think that the obstacles for this specific action and this specific policy change, I just don't think we're at a spot where it makes sense and it's something that we can do. That's my
That's
thought. I'm
fine.
one vote.
That's fine. If we can put discussion for a later time on a Friday work session where we discuss the comp time issue, and we can still potentially address the issue that we have right now. We had a group of individuals that went above and beyond to make sure that the rest of us could do what we needed to do.
Yeah.
Because, trust me, I've been on the other end of that where I work overnight and Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and never even got so much as a thank you for it. And those feelings don't go away. And I know these guys put in a lot of effort in less than ideal conditions.
Yeah.
So,
And that's why I do think it was good that we made clear as a court last week,
no,
and in
No.
general, to,
I agree.
It was
A
seen
100% agree.
and recognized, yeah. Okay. Do we have a motion, any type of action on this item?
All the action would be to further discuss, yeah, in a work session.
Okay.
It would be fine.
Let's tentatively, Morgan, put that for the first March Friday work session. After court, I'll get with the folks who are gonna have to do the research and the stuff to make sure that gives them time with all the other stuff that is going on. Maybe Van will have a project.
Van loves projects.
Hey, Van.
All right, then with no action taken, we will,
One other quick.
Go ahead.
You had raised your hand a while ago. Do you want to say any more?
This was great. I think a comp time bank is good, but very limited, 36 hours or 24 hours, but it'd be for discussion.
Yeah, all right, thank you, sorry, that's only.
no, that's good. This is why pack your box lunch for that work session is my guess, but, cause law enforcement it's a different deal too, and is treated differently under the law, and a lot of things to work out if we're gonna do that, so, okay. Anyone else have any comments before moving on? All right, no action taken. We'll move to item number 6, which is discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve payment for a full day of administrative time and authorize that any hours worked in excess of 40 during the pay period be compensated at straight time rates for road and bridge and maintenance workers for time worked during the January 2026 winter weather event. Based on the previous discussion, commissioners, is there any objection to tabling that for today?
No,
Okay.
I don't think I put that one on there, but.
Oh, well, then we
But-
will,
Yeah, we can discuss that as part of the broader discussion on comp time.
okay. Then with no objection, we will table item number 6. And with that, it is 10:58 a.m. and court is adjourned. Thank you.